You know, there's this invisible architecture that's controlling your life right now. It's a set of rules you never ever agreed to, and it's being enforced by the people you trust the most. Yeah, think about that. This system, it determines how much you earn, how high you can climb, and what you even believe is possible for yourself. And you want to know the most dangerous part? You don't even know it's there. So let me just ask you, straight up, I want you to really look at your life, your ambitions, where you want to be. Now, look at your bank account. And finally, look at your friends. And be honest. Are they the reason you're failing? Welcome to Unspoken Rules. Look, we don't do feel-good platitudes here. We expose the raw, psychological truths that are running your reality, whether you like it or not. And today, we are going to dismantle the single most powerful system of control you've ever faced, and it's hiding in plain sight. It's your own social circle. Let's get into it. All right, the first thing you have to grasp, and I mean really grasp, is that you're living inside a social cage. The bars aren't made of steel. No, they're built from something way stronger. Expectations, those quiet little judgments, and this deep, primal fear of anyone daring to change the status quo. These are the invisible forces that are absolutely holding you back. Now, this cage, it's maintained by two primary psychological weapons. Think of it like this. On one side, you've got the crab mentality. This thing attacks you the second you try to escape. And on the other side, tall poppy syndrome. That one comes for you after you've already succeeded. So one prevents the climb, and the other punishes you for reaching the summit. It's a brutal 1-2 punch. Okay, let's break down crab mentality first. The metaphor is it's brutally simple. Picture it. You put a bunch of crabs in a bucket. Any single one that tries to climb out gets yanked right back down by the others. Every time. It's basically a guarantee of collective failure. And where does it come from? Oh, it's born from jealousy, from deep-seated insecurity, this toxic belief that someone else's progress somehow makes you less. And then you have tall poppy syndrome. You see this a lot in cultures like Australia and the UK, but really it's everywhere. This isn't about stopping you from escaping the bucket. This is about punishing you for your success. Imagine a field of poppies. When one grows taller than the rest, what happens? It gets cut down. That's you. Your achievements don't inspire your group. They threaten them. They make people uncomfortable. So they find a way, subtly or not so subtly, to put you back in your place. And at the very heart of this entire social cage, there's this one single destructive belief. It's a mantra, really. If I can't have it, then neither can you. This has nothing to do with teamwork or collaboration. It's all about enforcing a shared stagnation, a race to the bottom. But why? Why is this cage so ridiculously effective? Well, it's because it hijacks a fundamental mechanism hardwired into your brain. Let's be clear, this isn't about you having weak willpower. Not at all. This is about your neurological hardware. So let's pull back the curtain and look at the science of why this works so well. Just look at this number for a second. 10%. What is that? That's the percentage of your waking thoughts. The amount of time your brain spends on direct social comparison. Think about that. It's not a choice you make, it's a cognitive default. Your mind is a relentless measurement tool, and it's constantly in the background asking one question over and over. Where do I stand relative to everyone else? So this relentless comparison, it's actually explained by a powerful idea in psychology called reference group theory. And what it says is basically this. You don't figure out who you are in a vacuum. Nope. You create your sense of self by using other people as a mirror. Your idea of what it means to be rich or poor, successful or a failure, it is determined entirely by the standards of the groups you're measuring yourself against. And it turns out there are 4 types of these reference groups, and trust me, they are secretly running your life. First, you have your normative group. Think your family. They set the baseline for what's normal, right? Think about the spending habits you picked up without even thinking. Then there's your comparison group, like your coworkers. They determine if you feel deprived or successful. Is your salary good? Well, compared to who? See? Third is your audience group. That's who you're trying to impress, who you aspire to be like. They're the ones driving your big goals. And finally, your dissociative group. This is the group you actively try not to be. They shape your identity through rejection. All 4 of these, working together, they literally architect your financial reality. Okay, so if that constant comparison instinct is the engine, what's the fuel? What calibrated your internal definition of enough, or too much, or too risky? Well, that comes from something way deeper. It's a blueprint that was installed in your mind when you were way too young to even question it. We're talking about your childhood programming. Listen, if you grew up around financial stress, I need you to understand this. Your brain was physically altered. It happened in 3 steps. First, you just observed your parents' anxiety around bills and money. You absorbed it. Second, you learned to suppress what you wanted because you realized that wanting things just created more stress, more instability for the family. And third, that whole process hardwired a fear response into your very being. We can see it in brain scans. Even when you're an adult with more than enough money, your amygdala, that's your brain's alarm system, it still fires up as if you're in immediate danger. Your nervous system literally never got the memo that you're safe now. So this deep, early programming, it creates one of 4 unconscious money scripts that you're probably acting out right now. So which one is it? Do you believe deep down that wealth is kind of greedy or bad? That's money avoidance, and you will find ways to sabotage your own success. Or do you think more money will magically solve all your problems? That's money worship. And my friend, that's a one-way ticket to burnout. How about this one? Is your self-worth totally tied to your net worth? That's money status, always keeping up with the Joneses. Or maybe you're always saving for a catastrophe that never comes. That's money vigilance, and it makes you totally unable to enjoy what you've worked so hard to build. I want you to really think about it. Which one of these is you? Because one of them is controlling you. So let's recap. You've got this social cage trying to hold you back, and you've got this internal programming screaming that you're unsafe. So what on earth does it actually take to break free from all of that? The answer? Well, it's probably the most challenging truth we're going to talk about today. To rise, you have to first detach. Okay, there's this thing called social identity theory. All it really means is that a huge chunk of our self-esteem comes from the groups we belong to. It's just human nature. So if you feel like the group you're in has a low status, you will naturally, instinctively look for a way to improve your social identity, to feel better about yourself. And one of the most direct ways to do that, leave that group for one you see as having a higher status. But what really happens psychologically when you make that decision to climb, when you actually try to leave that familiar cage for something more? And here's the paradox. The research on this is crystal clear. The process of leaving your group, it begins in your head, long before you physically go anywhere. The moment you decide you want to climb, you start a process called anticipatory socialization. You start to subconsciously distance yourself. You care a little less about the in-group's problems. You identify with them less. You almost have to build the psychological runway you need to take off. But this detachment, it comes at a huge cost. We're talking guilt, feeling like a traitor, a deep loneliness that sets in before you've even gotten where you're going. The break doesn't start when you succeed. It starts the second you decide you want to. So, here we are. We've laid it all out. You've seen the cage, you've seen the deep programming, and you've seen the very real psychological price of escape. And it all leads to this moment, one final, inevitable choice. You are the architect of your destiny, but you have to choose which blueprint you're going to follow. You've probably heard the famous quote from Jim Rohn, and it puts it so plainly. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Let that sink in. Proximity is destiny. Their habits, they become your habits. Their standards, they become your standards. And their limitations, they become your reality. Ultimately, it all boils down to this one choice. You're standing at a fork in the road, and there are 2 paths. Path number 1 is social comfort. And hey, it offers belonging, safety, predictability. It feels good, but the price you pay is stagnation. Path number 2 is individual growth. This path offers the chance for real upward mobility, for true achievement, but its price is steep. Potential isolation, inherent risk, and yeah, that psychological pain of detachment we talked about. There's no third path. Look, your programming is not your destiny. That social cage is not your final outcome. These are just the default settings, but they absolutely will define your life unless you make a conscious, deliberate decision to rewrite them. So the only question that matters right now is, who will you choose to become? The choice is clear. You can remain a product of your environment, trapped by the invisible scripts and the social cages that we've exposed here today, or you can become the architect of your own mind. So the real question is this: are you going to keep living in ignorance, or are you going to hit that subscribe button and make a commitment to seeing reality as it truly is? Join the people who choose awareness. Subscribe, turn on your notifications, and I want you to comment below with the one unspoken rule you've just now decided to break. It's time to wake up.